morning. Good morning and welcome. It's great to see you here this morning. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose, and I'd like to wish you a happy Mother's Day. This is the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. Let's start our celebration service by standing up and singing together. We rest and go to that deep place of understanding, of love, of compassion. We breathe in and let go of the busyness of the week as we exhale. And we allow ourselves to become still and know as we listen to the words of our sacred reading.
The Lanyard by Billy Collins. The other day, I was ricocheting slowly off the blue walls of this room, moving as if underwater, from typewriter to piano, from bookshelf to an envelope lying on the floor, when I found myself in the L section of the dictionary, where my eyes fell upon the word lanyard. No cookie nibbled by a French novelist could send one into the past more suddenly. A past where I sat at a workbench at a camp by a deep Adirondack lake, learning how to braid long, thin plastic strips into a lanyard, a gift from my mother. I'd never seen anyone use a lanyard or wear one, if that's what you did with them. But that did not keep me from crossing strand over strand again and again until I had made a boxy red and white lanyard from my mother. She gave me life and milk from her breasts. And I gave her a lanyard. She nursed me in many a sick room, lifted spoons of medicine to my lips, laid cold face cloths on my forehead, and then led me out into the airy light and taught me to walk and swim. And I, in turn, presented her with a lanyard. Here are thousands of meals, she said. Here's clothing and a good education. And here's your lanyard, I replied, which I made with a little help from a counselor. Here is a breathing body and a beating heart, strong legs, bones, and teeth, and two clear eyes to read the world, she whispered. And here, I said, is the lanyard I made at camp. And here I wish to say to her now is a smaller gift. Not the worn truth that you can never repay your mother, but the rueful admission that when she took the two-tone lanyard from my hand, I was as sure as a boy could be that this useless, worthless thing I wove out of boredom would be enough to make us even.
so it is. Yeah. Okay. I guess it would be wrong to blow my nose on my poncho. Thanks, Doreen. Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, good. Extras. What do you think's going to happen today? All right. So all of the emotions that has been stirred up, all the laughter and the tears, all of the joy, all of the remembrance, all of it is God, all of it is love, all of it is who we are. And so let us deepen in that remembrance as we sing together, I am remembering who I am, knowing it for ourselves and knowing it for all beings. And in the depth of this power and remembrance and love, let us breathe in deeply and then exhale, opening our eyes in love with what is, as it is, and so it is.
I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the love of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. God speaks, and the sound of her voice is so sweet that the birds stop their singing, and the melody that she gave to me
There is a piece, a written piece that I didn't bring in, but I will tell you the gist of it. It's called The Wide Continuum of Motherhood. And it helps us understand that, as Bill said in his message, first of all, mothers come in all shapes and sizes. That there are people that had wonderful mothers and people that had mothers that were kind of challenging. That there are people who are great mothers and people who are mothers that are kind of challenging. There are people that had wanted to conceive but couldn't. There are people who have had miscarriages. There are people who mothers have passed over. People who have a great relationship with their mother. Motherhood of furry beasts and feathered beasts. All kinds of mothers all over the place. So let's just take a moment to take that in and send whatever mother we knew or know, send them some love and gratitude. For no matter who they were, they gave us life and breath and birth. And so it is. So today's message is called The Heart of the Mother because really there is a universal principle to mothering, and that is love. Many of us have heard people say that God is love, and I would also say that love is God. Richard Rohr says also that love has you, love is you. And remember that you are already what you are seeking. Any fear that your lack of love could cancel God's love is absurd. So today, we draw ourselves into the heart of the mother to understand more that we are that love in action, that we are the love of the divine in everything that we do. And as we do this, our lives become deeper and sweeter and more meaningful, not only for us, but we bless the entire planet with this spiritual work that we do together today. So how about that poem that Hugh read, the Lanyard? It's pretty amazing, right? If anybody walked in late, the gist of the poem is that there's a little boy making a lanyard at camp. You all know what a lanyard is, right? How many people here have actually made a lanyard? Yes. How many here have actually worn a lanyard? Two. Admit it. So, and the poem, the gist of the poem is that, he says to his mother, you gave me life and breath and milk from your breasts, and you held me when I was sick, and you spooned broth into my mouth, and you taught me how to walk and swim, and here, I gave you a lanyard. But in his little boy's heart, he knows that certainly that although you can never repay your mother for what she has done for you, that somehow giving the lanyard makes them even, makes the mother's sacrifice and love even with his gift. And I would say, as someone who mothers others and mothers furry beasts and someone who knows a lot of great mothers, not only does it make them even, but that lanyard was precious to that mother. You've received things from children, either children that you've taught or children that you've known, gifts that children have made for you, and it's precious. It's precious. That's how divine love works. It's something that we think is maybe not enough, but divine love transforms it and makes it into something precious. I think of that poem a lot. I've known about it for a long time, and I think about it sometimes as I go about my business in the church. There was the story that I'll tell of something that happened here. We have a congregant and another congregant that are in the process of making videos for veterans. They are making mindfulness videos for veterans, and they are hopefully going to go over the world and help people who served our country all over the world. And they're using our space to film it. They're using our downstairs space to film it. And often we charge a little bit of rent when somebody uses our space outside of church activities to help us pay with our utility bill. And when they asked what the fee was, Annette, in her wisdom, contacted me and said, I think, it's for the veterans. We should give it to them for free. And I thought to myself, the first thing that popped into my head was this poem. So you sacrificed your life, you sacrificed your limbs, you sacrificed your security, you sacrificed your comfort, you went into the jungles of Vietnam, you sacrificed your family, you sacrificed your mental health in some occasions. And here, in exchange, we give you this smelly room with fluorescent lights and plastic plants. And yet, like that little boy in the poem, in the Lanyard poem, there is something, it doesn't feel adequate to repay the debt that the veterans have given to us through their service, but something about it still feels like we're even, because we're a part of that divine love that will go out and transform the lives of veterans everywhere. And I have to say that I think that this is true in general in our relationship with God, the Creator, that creates through us, that created us and that creates through us. That God has given us life and breath and feelings and work and homes and pets and family and relationships and the ability to use our five senses, has given us sexuality, sensuality. God has given us bodies. God has given us beautiful mountains and trees and butterflies and all kinds of wonderful things. And we, like lanyard weavers, take all of that and we weave something that we can give back to the Creator, that blesses the Creator in the exchange. And we may question, is the life that I'm weaving enough? The line, or the title of this poem, this sermon, this message, is "The Heart of the Mother," which comes from a song that the choir sings often before church. I believe they sang it today, right? I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of mother. I am one with love. And then Kyrie eleison, right? Did I get it right, Barbie? Okay. So this being a religious science church, sometimes people are shocked to hear the part of the Latin Mass in a song that the choir is singing, Kyrie eleison, which means, Lord have mercy. Right? As a sort of a veteran singer, it doesn't worry me because, I listened to a lot of masses growing up. While my little friends were listening to Bobby Sherman and the Partridge Family, my sister was obsessed with the Mozart Requiem and listened to it every day and would sing it on the way to school. And there's a Kyrie in that, of course. But when people question me about the idea of saying God or Lord have mercy in a religious science church, I say to think of it affirmatively. Lord has mercy, or God has mercy, and even better, God is mercy. God is mercy itself. God has already forgiven us for everything. And mercy is the start of the Mass. And Wayne Muller talks about this, where he says that in most of our journeys of transformation, a great starting place is mercy, which is forgiveness. And in our self-transformation, mercy is self-forgiveness. Wayne Muller writes, mercy, this very first prayer, our opening invocation, the door through which we must first pass before we can honestly open our hearts safely and faithfully to the divine. This is our heart's confession, our ache for the welcoming sacrament of mercy. There is an absolute necessity of mercy when we begin. We must feel thoughts and feelings, ideas and memories that we can so swiftly condemn as horrible, bad, defective, sick, or broken. And paradoxically, the more we choose to name ourselves or our thoughts and our feelings as terrible or pathological, the more we actually give them strength and space in our lives and power over our behavior. So I offer this to you today in this idea of this talk of the heart of the mother, in this life that you're weaving. Perhaps the place to start, perhaps enough for today, is to just start with mercy, with self-forgiveness. Is there anything about yourself or something that you've done or anything that you think about that requires your self-forgiveness, knowing that we're all human, knowing that as we name things bad or horrible or awful, that actually strengthens that. And self-forgiveness helps loosen the bonds that this type of thought or feeling or past behavior has upon us. Is there any place in your life where you feel the need for self-forgiveness? And I encourage you to do the work of self-forgiveness. Forgiveness is the divine message of love in action. It is one way to give feet to our prayers. Forgiveness is a powerful thing, and forgiveness can change anything. So look within and practice this week, the idea of self-forgiveness, of letting go. And while you're forgiving yourself, you may want to forgive a few others as well. Because when the whole world is wrapped in forgiveness, then the whole world is divine. One thing that we often forget to forgive is our quirkiness, our need to sometimes be like the other players on earth, our need to be who we think we should be. Rachel Remen writes a story about this in one of her books where she talks about how she was a trainer of medical students. Rachel Remen, of course, is a philosopher and a doctor, and she has done a lot to bring a sense of deeper humanity and grace to the field of medicine. So Rachel Remen does this class with medical students where she asks them, what part of you are you forbidden to bring to your job as a medical student? And she asks them to draw a picture of that part that they feel forbidden to show up with. She said the most common response that she gets is creativity. That student doctors are afraid to show up with their creativity because they're so afraid of doing it wrong. They're so afraid of being judged as being different. They so want to fit into the mold of how they are supposed to be. And I wonder if that's not true for some of us as well, that maybe maybe it's not creativity for us, but maybe it's this other part of ourselves that feels forsaken, that feels like we shouldn't be that, we shouldn't have that, we shouldn't think that way. You know, I've coached a lot of ministers and a lot of practitioners, and for us, one of the biggest bugaboos is doubt. You say, I'm a minister, I should have faith. I should have faith all the time. I'm a practitioner, I should know better, I should have faith. Or I attend a church like this where they talk about faith, where they talk about how your thoughts are creative. I should know better. I shouldn't have doubt. I should just shove my doubt away. And what if doubt is a powerful part of yourself, a part to welcome? What if shame is also a powerful part of yourself? You know, when I teach the worthiness class, I have an affirmation that says, I am no longer ashamed of my shame. Because that's where many of us get stuck, is that we're ashamed of what we feel ashamed of. We're ashamed of actually feeling shame, right? And so I invite people to befriend all of the dark and forsaken parts of themselves and to trust and to know that those things are there for a high and a holy purpose. That they can be transformed in the heart of the mother, which is the heart of divine love. That they can be transformed as soon as we witness them and befriend them and start asking them and start dialoguing with them and asking them, what are you here to teach me? You know, one of the things I started doing is coaching writers, and so many young writers feel that they are inadequate to write about spiritual topics because they haven't mastered this whole thing yet, right? Right? Anybody here mastered this whole thing yet? Right? And I tell them, wouldn't you rather learn from somebody who has struggled than somebody who is just like popped out of their mother's, you know, and just had all the answers? Wouldn't you rather learn about overcoming shame? Talk about shame. Hello. Wouldn't you rather learn about overcoming shame and doubt from someone who has actually felt shameful and doubtful? Right? So these things within us that we call dark and despicable and unfortunate, all of those things are there for us. But they are only there for us if we can draw them into divine forgiveness, if we can draw them into divine love, if we can draw them into the heart of the mother. You going to do that? You promise? It takes courage. It takes the courage to see yourself instead of skipping over the parts of ourselves that we don't like. It takes the courage to be with them and sit with them and feel them in your heart, actually feel them. But the odd thing is that as soon as we cultivate the courage, that's the hard part, is getting started. As soon as we cultivate the courage and sit with these things that feel so foreign and feel so forsaken, as soon as we sit with them, we start to see that they have a role to play and that they really are our friends in disguise. I'm going to tell you a story about my own mother and a recent experience. Many of you know that we're having that psychic medium, spiritual medium, Tim Braun, come to do an event at our center on June 2nd. And I said this last week, but I wanted to make sure that I felt like he was legit, but, you know, because he was coming here, and I wanted to be able to help people if they were struggling with you know, thinking about coming. And so I went and had a private session with them. And in my private session with him, he spoke to several people in my life that have crossed over my mother, my father, my dog, my best friend Mike. And the information that he gave me was so specific and so healing and so wonderful that it was a beautiful experience. One of the things that puzzled me when he came here the first time was that he would say, okay, I see somebody and they've got big muscles and a lot of tattoos. And I'd be like, what? Dead people don't have a lot of tattoos. What are you talking about? You know? But I assumed that that people would appear to him in a form where the person getting the reading would recognize them. And one of the very specific things he said to me was, he said, I see your mother, she's standing over here by your left shoulder, and she looks like she's about 47. And then he said, the reason she's probably appearing as 47 is that many people choose to appear how they looked the year that they died, but some people who died of an illness, sort of a long, tragic illness, like to appear as they were in their last good year before they got sick. And he said, was your mother 47 when she got sick? And I said, yes, she was. She was 47 and I was 17. So, anyway, one of the things that he said to me about my mom that my mother wanted me to know was that when she was sick in the last weeks of her life, she was in pain, and that she would look at me and see that I was struggling with the feeling of helplessness and feeling that I couldn't ease her pain. And she said to me in this reading, I wished so much that I could have found a way for you to take away my pain, not for my sake, but for yours. It hurt me to see you struggling and feeling helpless. And that's what I'm talking about. She took my helplessness, my flaw, my inadequacy to fix the situation. She took that and she transformed it into love. This is available for all of us. The key is to wait. It's to not wait, rather. It's to not wait until we pass over to the other side. To be able to do this, to be able to see it, to be able to give it, to be able to receive it. There is a beautiful, beautiful love that is omnipresent, that is who you are, that is exactly moving your life forward as it should be. There is a divine love that lives and moves and has its perfect being in your breath, in your lightest feelings, in your darkest feelings. There is a beautiful and divine presence of love that is the mother-father principle that gave birth to us and continues to give birth and weave an amazing life through us always. And so we rely upon that love. We forgive ourselves and we surrender to it. I'll close with a quote from Eben Alexander, who wrote Proof of Heaven, which is our featured book for this month. Omniscient, omnipotent, personal, and loving us without conditions, this is God. None of us are ever unloved. Each and every one of us is deeply known and cared for by a Creator who cherishes us beyond any ability that we have to comprehend. And remember, love has you. Love is you. You are already the love that you are seeking. Let us go forth and use that and bless our lives and bless the entire world with this beautiful love that longs to weave itself through us. Let us pray. I turn within and rest in the gracious power of Spirit, that is love itself, that is power, that is presence, that is joy, that is peace. I rest in this place as this place and know that it is the truth of who I am. And as I speak in the first person, I use the universal I am, the I am that is all of us, the I am that is the power and presence of the Most High that lives and moves and has its perfect being through every single aspect of our lives. And so right now I know that I am love, I am peace, I am power. I am abundance. I am forgiveness. I move into the spaciousness that is beyond the need for forgiveness and just see that everything is loved and held and cherished and befriended. And I allow myself to do that for myself and for others, opening up to that spaciousness that is the life, that is the love, that is the perfection of God here and now. I bring any challenge that I may be having to this sacred altar, to this sacred space, and together as a congregation, we lift it up into the light, knowing that the heart of divine already has it, knowing that it is already transformed in the mind of God. We support one another, and as we support one another, we support the entire world. We bless all beings everywhere through this love that we generate here together, through our willingness to give it attention and focus and power. Today we are empowered in love. We are seasoned by love. We are strengthened by love. We are lifted by love. We are transformed by love, because we are love, becoming love always. I give thanks for this beautiful transformation. I give thanks for this energy and this essence of love that fills each and every one of us. I give thanks for this spiritual teaching, for this center, for all paths to God. I bless all of them, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams. I bless all paths, for all paths are a blessing. And with a heart filled with gratitude and filled with love, I say, thank you, Spirit, thank you, God, and I release these words into the mystery, and together we say, and so it is.